It has been the greatest privilege of my life to represent each of you in the United States Senate. When I was sworn in as a senator, I took an oath to defend the Constitution. That's an obligation I take very seriously. That is an oath I intend to honor every single day. In addition to the Constitution, I have an obligation to every man and woman here, and every man and woman in the state of Texas. I work for you. I work for you, and you have every right, and I would say even a duty, to hold me accountable. That's why I'm here this morning. Would have been the easiest thing in the world to turn tail and run, but that ain't going to happen. Now, I suspect most, if not all of y'all, understand that these folks holding cameras are not our friends. They're not here because they want to have a beer with you. They're not here because they're planning to vote Republican in November. And so there's no story they want to write more than Republicans in disarray, convention on fire, everything going bad. That's what they're going to write. Have you noticed it every night? That's going to be the story. Well, it's up to us to determine whether it's true or not. I do think the American people are watching what we do and not what they say. You know, I can tell you last night, when I addressed the convention because Donald Trump asked me to. And when Donald asked me to, he didn't ask me to endorse. And indeed, 3 days ago, I talked on the phone with him and told him I'm not going to endorse you. Well, let me answer that. Sir, I'm happy to answer that, but I'm not going to engage in a screaming fight. And indeed, I'm going to do questions and answers right now. What I wanted to do last night was lay out the principles I believe we should stand for as Republicans. In that speech last night, I did not say a single negative word about Donald Trump. And I'll tell you this morning and going forward, I don't intend to say negative things about Donald Trump. The media would love me to. I promise you every question when I step off this stage is going to be, please say something horrible about Donald Trump. Come on, it makes good news. What I did say is what all of us should believe and why all of us, I think, got into politics in the first place. I started the speech by congratulating Donald on winning the nomination, by name. And then I encouraged folks here and at home that we deserve leaders who will stand for principle, who will do what they say. And I made a particular point to address conservatives at home. Listen, I assume there's a reason the Trump campaign wanted me to speak. They saw my speech several hours before I gave it. They knew exactly what I was going to say. I assume the reason they wanted me to speak is they believed my delivering that message would encourage people to come out and vote, and they believed it would help them. If they didn't, I was perfectly happy to get on a plane and go home. But in that speech last night, I asked conservatives at home, I asked Americans at home, do not stay home in November. That's right. And I laid out a standard. I said we should vote for candidates that you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, that's a standard I expect to be applied to me. I expect to be applied to every candidate on the ballot, from president down to dog catcher. This isn't just a team sport. We don't just put on red jerseys or blue jerseys and yay! This is about principles and ideals. This is about standing for what we believe in. And you know, listen, I have to say, it was somewhat dismaying that apparently some of Donald's biggest partisans, right down front, when they heard that people should vote for someone you can trust to defend our freedom and defend our conscience, defend the Constitution, immediately they began booing. I've got to say that's a little bit troubling what they're saying. You know, I'm reminded of an old story of a man who's in the middle of a huge lawsuit, a bet the company case. It means everything to him. His lawyer calls at the end of the trial, and he says, "Justice prevailed." The client immediately says, "Appeal immediately." Listen, I actually thought later last night Newt had it exactly right. We want to win this race. Newt stood up and said, you know what, the standard Ted laid out, who will defend freedom? Who will be faithful to the Constitution? Newt said, Donald Trump is the only candidate that meets that standard. I'll tell you this, if we want to win this election, that's the only way we're winning this election. But we're going to win this election by making the case to the American people. We're not going to win this election by yelling and screaming and attacking people. And so with that, I'm happy to answer any and all of your questions.
Are you going to vote for Trump?
His vote is private.
Well, thank you, sir, for your question, and I will answer it the same way I have answered it many, many times when our friends in the press have asked it, which is that I am doing what millions of Americans are doing. I am watching, I am listening, and as I told you last night, the standard that I intend to apply is which candidate I trust to defend our freedom and be faithful to the Constitution. I can tell you, I'm not voting for Hillary. Hillary fails that test profoundly, and I will note a significant part of my speech last night was laying out the incredible damage of Hillary Clinton's vision. But you know, some of y'all may recall when I ran for Senate, and a lot of people here worked very hard in that race. And there were a lot of folks in that race that said, you know what, you've got to vote for the lieutenant governor. He's next in line. It's his turn. This is a party. Be a team player. He's the one who's next in line. And an awful lot of Texans took a different view. I've laid out the standard I'm looking for, and I am hopeful. I'm going to be listening tonight. I'm going to be listening to Donald's speech. I'm going to be listening to how he and the campaign conduct themselves every day from now to November. And that's what I believe the American people are going to be doing also. And the way to win as I tried with all my might to lay out last night, is not to just scream and yell and attack as a traitor anyone that would dare question our candidate.
Texas Senator Ted Cruz getting a standing ovation from the Texas delegates at their breakfast this morning in Cleveland, saying that the easy thing would have been to just hide and not show up this morning after the boos and the controversy that he got last night during the convention. He said that he is not going to vote for Hillary Clinton, but he falls short of saying that he is going to vote for Donald Trump, which is what a lot of people wanted him to say.
Yeah, perhaps that line about not voting for Hillary is the closest thing to an endorsement for Trump he has said. Another interesting point, he said it was the media saying that the Republicans are in disarray, coming from the guy who gave the speech last night. But he also pointed out that Donald Trump knew what was in that speech.
Right.
And still had him go up there on the stage. So
what he didn't say is that the Trump campaign, some sources are telling the media that the speech he handed over to Trump before was different than the speech he gave last night.
Interesting. Also, he did not answer that one person's question when he said he did not endorse Trump and the person yelled, "Why not?" And he said he would get to it, and as of yet has not gotten to it. But we're going to keep monitoring this for you, let you know of any major developments that come out of that. Meantime, David,